there was ever any doubt on where I belong in pinball, I can confirm to you after 2 days at the Papa World Championships, trying to qualify for both the C and then later the B divisions, I can confirm to you my place in pinball is right here behind this microphone. It is episode 101 of Coast2Coast Pinball. Let's go. Welcome to Coast2Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This here is a podcast commentary. I'm a man with a few Papa tokens left in his pocket. But no more entries, because that's all done now. Coming to you not live from the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here on Saturday night, August 16th. It's probably Sunday morning here in Pennsylvania, but my computer still says California time, so we're going to roll with that. How's everyone doing? I am sick. You can probably hear it. I can hear it when I play back just a little testing audio clip here. I sound like heck. Heck. I don't sound like Ben Heck, just heck. It's a G-rated show, folks. I've been denying it for about 3 days now, but I'm sick. I'm not well, and hopefully I'm not contagious anymore because I've had my hands all over pinball machines nonstop for the past few days. So, bad head cold sinus infection feeling thing. So, I came out to Papa for the first time. Very excited to see the headquarters, see the games, see the tournament, see the players, the lights, the spectacle, the sounds, all that. And I've done that, and I've played a bunch of pinball, and it's been a fantastic time. The folks at Papa run a great event. It's exciting. I can't wait for the finals tomorrow. Tonight was filled with tension and drama. If you were paying attention, you kind of have to know what to be looking for. And I had a lot of fun. So let's see, where do we start? Last we left off, I was in New York, and I was preparing for this tournament. And I was watching Papa tutorial gameplay videos and gameplay videos of the games in the C division, because I thought I belonged in the C division. And I studied them. I learned rule sets to games like Pirates of the Caribbean and F-14 and games that I don't really care for a lot. It's just a casual playing experience, but I really dove in deep and learned those rules. And it didn't really work as planned. I thought that was going to be my advantage, but the fatal flaw in my plan, you still got to hit the shots, you know? You can know that the secret is to hit the Tortuga shot over and over and then live catch with the left flipper when the ball comes back out. But A, you've got to hit that ramp, and B, you've got to be able to live catch the ball again and again. So I didn't do so well. The trick with Papa, compared to many other tournaments, is that your scores that you're trying to qualify with are not accumulative throughout the tournament qualifying process. You don't get to, play an entry of 3 to 5 games. In this instance, there was 9 games in the C and 9 games in the B divisions, and you had to play 5 per entry. You don't get to play them, and then just take the best scores out of all your entries and use those to total up your points in your standings to qualify for the finals. You have to play them on one entry or one card or one ticket, as it's called throughout the tournament. And putting together 5 high-ranking scores is really difficult, for me at least. Some people, it looks really simple. But it's not simple. And I had this horrible habit for the past 2 days of over and over again buying a couple entries, because you only buy 2 entries at once. So I'd go buy 2 entries, getting all set up, figuring out what game I thought I could start off with and do well on, and just bricking the first game of the ticket. And the 2 games that just kept doing it to me, which I thought were sort of my go-to games, at first was Addams Family and Attack from Mars in the C division. They're just killing me. I don't even know what to say, how bad I was at the Addams Family. And I would go play another Addams Family that was in the Papa facilities, and of course it played very different. and was of no help, but I would score really well. I would put up a score that would have ranked in the top, 25 or 30 scores and gotten me a lot of points. And then I'd go play the Addams Family in the C Bank to start my ticket, and I would score like 5 million. Couldn't hit the skill shot, couldn't hit the bear stupid ramp shot, whatever. Just driving me crazy. So I sort of changed up and just started playing all the games on tickets that I was voiding, knowing that I wasn't going to use them, just trying to get a feel for the games. And I figured out that everybody was playing Addams Family because everyone knows the rules. Everyone's played the game. Everyone's familiar with it. So there's a lot of good scores being posted on that. And everybody's playing Attack from Mars because everybody knows the game. It's really obvious what you shoot for. Go kill the space shot saucer. And there were some big, huge scores on Attack from Mars. So I started looking at the games that didn't have huge scores up and down and that I thought I could score on. And at one point, I put up a card that got me ranked, I think, in the 50s for a little bit. But that didn't last. Those scores got knocked down very quickly, and I was back down into the 80s. And a lot of people play in the C Division. And a lot of people play repeated entries over and over in the C Division. And there's sort of a science to whether or not you void an entry. So let's say, for instance, I think I went through this last episode, but you score really high on one game, but you brick on a bunch of others, so your ticket's not going to qualify you. Do you go ahead and accept that at the end? Or do you hit void and just clear those scores off, and those scores don't count? Well, in the C Division, I noticed specifically, a lot of players have no idea about that, really, and they just hit, yes, accept on the little scorer's tablet that they're showing you. The scorekeeper comes over, verifies your score, and at the end of your fifth game, you yourself have to hit the button accepting your score. In the C Division, I saw very, very few people voiding entries. So all these scores would go up. So you would see a guy over there who really knew how to play Attack from Mars. He'd throw up 2-point-something billion on Attack from Mars, but have a bad ticket that really wasn't going to qualify for anything, but he'd accept it. So his big Attack from Mars score went up on the board, and you had to compete with that score for the rest of the qualifying rounds. And he did too. It really wasn't always in their best interest. Now, strategically, you might have a good qualifying ticket in already, and you're still, trying to put up a better score, and maybe you throw up a really high score in a game that you don't plan on using in future tickets. Well, maybe you accept that, leave that in there to bump people's points down. So there could be some strategy there, but I thought overall in C, and I actually asked a lot of the scorekeepers, who were often players who were volunteering to keep score, and thank you to all the people who do take their time and volunteer at Papa and other tournaments to actually, be the scorekeeper. I kept asking scorekeepers, is anybody voiding any of these entries over here? And most people are like, no one is. And some of the better players who were acting as scorekeepers looked at me like, oh, you were aware that that's an issue? And I'm like, yeah. And one guy even said to me, he goes, that's why I don't play in the C Division. So that was kind of starting to appear to me to be an issue, is that you were going to have to put up pretty good scores across 5 games to get up there. One person who I was discussing this with sort of argued with me and said it kept the total score needed down, which to a point was true, but you still had to put up really good scores. So I wasn't playing well on these games. In fact, my best game was on, and I'm blurring together what games were in which division now, because I ended up, as I'll talk about soon, switching to the B division here on day 2 of my qualifying attempt. There were 3 days of qualifying, of course. I didn't get in until Friday, late afternoon, to really start. So I didn't get to put much time in. I didn't put any time in on the first day on Thursday. So in my 2 days, day 1 was really C Division. Day 2 was mostly B Division. But the Future Spa game, the EM on Division C, ended up being my best game. At one point, I had the 8th highest score on Future Spa. And I think by the time I bailed out of the C Division, it had been knocked down to, I think, like 15th or so. So I had a really good score on Future Spa. So that started being a game that I was using on every attempt. Batman Dark Knight. I got to credit Bo and Karen's Papa tutorial. He really showed me how to play that game in that video that Papa links to. And I was scoring really well on that. So my good ticket, I had point scores on Future Spa, Batman Dark Knight, and I believe on that one. Also, a low point score on Attack from Mars that certainly didn't hold up for any points as the play went on. Wheel of Fortune was a nightmare for me. I had really dove into the rules of that one and figured out how to play that game. Always going for the free spins, always trying to get the wild cards when they're there. The game was just set up really tough. I was having major right owling problems on Wheel of Fortune just over and over and over again. That was difficult. But I had kind of, zoomed myself into just using Pirates, Future Spa, Batman, Dark Knight, F-14 Tomcat, and Johnny Mnemonic, actually. The game that I didn't research at all before I went into this thing. A couple of people asked me about that. I ran into some listeners of the show, and a few people were really curious. So, what was the game that you didn't study on? And I'm like, that's Johnny Mnemonic. And it's actually a game I thought I was playing pretty good on. And a few people I heard discussing some things. I did pick up a thing on the Spinner Millions scoring idea and was trying to get that working, but was having a little luck. The game was really, really tilty. I was expecting steep games with really tight tilts, and that's not what I found at Papa this year. I found fairly normal level tables with varying degrees of tilt here and there. Johnny Mnemonic was the most sensitive game I played by far this weekend. You couldn't nudge much at all without getting 2 warnings, possibly a tilt. That was just Tilt Fest City for me at least. But some games like Batman Dark Knight, you could move the daylights out of that table. No problem at all. So, another interesting thing that I noticed really early on is they were using different rubber on the flippers game to game to game. You'd have black rubber on some, you'd have red rubber on some, and you'd have super bands on others. That was really interesting to figure out and learn each game as you went and have to adjust on the fly to how balls were bouncing. Like Wheel of Fortune startled me with really brand new fresh red rubber, how bouncy the ball was off those flippers. I mean, balls would come out of the left orbit and hit that left flipper and bounce way, way up high. Whereas I was playing, I think it was Pirates. It might not have been Pirates. Something that had super bands on it. Just much, much, much less bounce. Might have been F-14. But just very interesting watching how that kind of played out as it went on. My other problem with the C Division that I did post about on Facebook and had some replies, and I actually had some emails from people who didn't want to post publicly about this. There's some sandbagging issues in the C Division, and I know last year around this time at Papa, there was a lot of conversation about the C Division and how high the level of play was at the C Division. And I got to tell you, and maybe I'm making too big of a deal about this. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive because I was playing so poorly. But I don't think so. And I thought about it more, and I talked with a bunch of players tonight about this. A lot of players in the B Division, actually, I talked about this. And a lot of people kind of agreeing with me and saying, yeah, you're right. They need to do something at Papa. And I think other tournaments that run multi-divisions should consider this too. You got to remember what the C Division is for. The C Division is not necessarily for the bad players. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying, is that if you're a good player, you shouldn't be in C Division by default. C Division is for players with limited tournament experience. People who, maybe you're a great pinball player. Maybe you play so great at your house, but then you get in a tournament where you're spending a lot of money to play in this game. Maybe that freezes you up. Maybe you just aren't comfortable in a crowd like this. Whatever it might be. It's for people with limited tournament experience. It's for first-timers. It's for bringing people into competitive pinball. I don't think it's a good idea to have top 500, top 600. I don't really think it's a good idea to have top 1,000 ranked players playing in your C Division. The argument here is that it's the World Championships of pinball. It's Papa. It's the pinnacle. And you know what? Tough luck. You're going to have some really good players in C. And that's okay. I also don't think it's good to have so many more people playing in C than B. In the B Division, there were 85 qualifying entries, I believe. 85. And if you're curious, I finished 76th. I don't want to hear it. Hush You. And that's 85 with ties for 85th down there at the bottom with some zeros. So it's actually 85, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 90. About 90 people put tickets in the B division. In the C division, you had 140 and ties, and the ties at 140 for people who scored 0 is 25 long. So you had about 165. So you had twice as many people, roughly, play in the C division as the B division. I think there's lots of room there, and I hope Papa looks at this and sees that to move a lot of these players out of the C division and up to the B division. It will only help make the B division more competitive, and trust me, B division is no joke. We'll get to that in a minute, but it's no joke. But the C division just shouldn't have players at that level of experience. I went through last night in my cold medicine stupor and was going through all the people who had, basically were above the qualifying line at the time and sort of cross-referencing those people in their IFPA rankings. And I certainly don't want to use this forum to call any individuals out, but I will say this, that I found some, players ranked in the top maybe 500, and I found some players with as many as 110 entries in their IFPA Whopper point standings. So that means that they had at least 110 prior tournaments to this weekend that earned Whopper points, and that's not counting other C and closed division things like this that don't earn Whopper points, so they could have played C division the last 10 years here. That's not for C division. If you're ranked 450th or 456th or whatever you were, and you have 110 IFPA ranked tournaments under your belt, you should not be in the beginners division, because that's really kind of what C division is. There's also some players on there who put up ridiculous scores, and you go look them up on IFPA, nothing. This is their first tournament of note. So it's all over the place, but I do think a very simple way to kind of clear up a little bit of that and keep that C division a little bit more pure and true would be to simply say, once you hit some number of IFPA ranked events on your player profile, you can no longer, play in the C division. And what that number is, I don't know. To me, the number should be no more than 20. I think if you've paid money to enter 20 pinball tournaments, you are no longer inexperienced at competitive pinball. I think it's probably, the number should be more like 10, 12, 15, but let's say it's 20. That would cut out a few people. I'd probably cut out about a quarter of the qualifiers. And honestly, watching some of those people play, they should probably be in the B division anyway. They're really good players, and they should step it up, work their way up. The gap from C to B, I didn't feel the play was that huge when you looked at the better players, but the gap from the lower entries in C to the highest entries in C was huge gap. And again, the argument was, and a player playing in the B division did argue this with me. We had a great conversation. He said, no, man, that's just how it is. C division's going to be tough. It's Papa. It's the World Championships. And I see that side. But here's my argument. Here's my reason I still don't feel that that's the right approach. This is Papa. This is one of the finest collections of pinball machines in the world. It's probably the finest collection of pinball machines in the world. It's a legendary place. People call it a pilgrimage to come to Papa. We're trying to grow this hobby. We're trying to grow competitive pinball. The C division needs to be that. For people, sort of like me, I felt a little weird, I think I said on the last show, entering the C division on some level. There's a little bit of me that thought, you know what, Nate, you're so involved in pinball. You have the ability to dive into the rule sets. Maybe you should just play in B division. We want the C division to be welcoming and bring people in and not be afraid that they're going to, run into, like, ringers. And I don't want to say that they're ringers, they're sandbagging, but let's be real. There's some people in their ringer and sandbagging it. There just are. And that's fine. That's fine for now. They're well within their rights. They're not breaking any rules. They're ranked out of the top 399 so they can play in C division. I would just hope that Papa will fine-tune things a little bit more in the future to get some of those guys up into the B division, where I think they probably belong. So today was a new day. It was Saturday. I woke up feeling way better than I felt Friday. Honestly, Friday, I was miserable. I didn't feel good. I met a lot of people, and I almost felt bad that I was so kind of out of it. I met Dawn from the Pinball Podcast, who hopefully we're going to get together and do a little podcasting tomorrow morning before the finals. And I met, listeners of the show. I forget your name, dude. I'm sorry. Greg? Is your name Greg? From Ohio? I think it was Greg. Very cool guy. Listener of the show, Greg. Oh, man. Greg, you know who you are. You drive a Mustang. We were talking about it because I was ripping on Mustang, and then he's like, I drive a Mustang. I'm like, oh, my bad. So I met a few other people, too, which was very cool. People listen to the show. One guy flipped around when he heard my voice, and he goes, are you Nate? I'm like, yeah, I'm Nate. He goes, oh, I thought that sounded like you. I was listening to your podcast on the way over here. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's fun. So it was very cool. I felt a little bad at the end of Friday because I felt so horrible. I was like, going to come and do a show, and, the whole Coast2Coast Pinball is what we do, right? We stay up late and we do the show, and I just went to bed, man. So today was a new day. Woke up. I was excited. And I'd kind of decided when I went to bed Friday I was going to come in and I was going to start playing in the B division. It just felt like I wasn't going to qualify in C. I just wasn't playing well enough. So I wanted to at least see what would happen. Throw it out there. See what the world was like in the B division. And also avoid all those awful scores in the C division, which that instantly does. Because once you move up, everything you did before in the lower division goes away. So it's like cleansing the slate. So I did that. I showed up, and I immediately played a lot better. I didn't do a ton of research on the games. I knew a few of them a little bit. I didn't know if these games were going to be set up drastically different, harder, quicker, or something like that. But I did this morning, as I was getting ready, put on some gameplay and tutorials of a couple of the games, just so I could kind of refresh my memory. With Ripley's Believe It or Not. That was a game that I knew was in there that I've had long ball times in my head in the past before, so I thought, that's a game I should probably try. The B Division bank was Metallica, Target Pool, 24, Scared Stiff, NBA Fast Break, boo, just boo on that game, Dr. Dude, AC/DC, Centaur, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Mustang. And right off the bat, I knew there was a couple games I wasn't even gonna try. Right off the bat, I wasn't going to have anything to do with NBA Fast Break, and I wasn't going to have anything to do with Mustang, because I knew everybody'd be playing Mustang, and I don't know the rules, and I haven't been that good at it when I've played it, so I just figured, okay, let's get rid of those. In my head, I'm thinking probably the same thing with Metallica and AC/DC to a degree. I know the rules on those a little bit better. I know AC/DC rules probably better than I do Metallica with some of the new things they've added in. But I also knew everybody would be playing those. So that left me with Target Pool, 24, Scared Stiff, Dr. Dude, Centaur, and Ripley's. Centaur, love that game. Love that game. I know the rules. I know how to play it. I've had success. It was the first game I played, and I immediately put up the 30th best score on that game. And I was thrilled. I was like, see, life is better in the B division. And I can't tell you that I did a whole lot of great stuff after that, but just coming over there and starting out like that was pretty good. I'm actually trying to find my one entry that I think I left in that didn't finish out so great. Yeah, that score ended up being the 34th best score on Centaur. It was 815,000. Not a huge score, but for that game, the way it was playing brutal. Very tough. I was very happy with that. So, unfortunately, that ticket went straight downhill from there. I put up the 94th now, and at the time it was in the 80s, I think, score on Ripley's Believe It or Not, which was not fantastic, and then a bunch of zeros after that. I think, 3 zeros ended up. In fact, my Ripley's Believe It or Not score fell off because it was worth a few points early on, and obviously it fell down. So then AC/DC, Scared Stiff, Target Pool, zeros. And my Target Pool game gave me hope, though, because I played really well on it. I just had a few bad breaks. I played AC/DC and knew then I wasn't going to focus on that one. Scared Stiff, I know that game like the back of my hand, but it had lightning flippers. They had swapped out the flippers with the smaller, shorter lightning flippers. So that game was very tough. You had to be very careful. I was tilting on that game a lot too because it was letting me nudge enough. I noticed games that let me nudge and move the game around a little bit, I would get myself in trouble on because I would take it too far. I did that quite a few times on Ripley's Believe It or Not as well. So I think I played 6 entries in the B division throughout the day and took a break, went out, had some dinner, took a nap, and headed back out and played 2 more entries and never really got a lot going. Kind of continued my bad streak of starting off with a bad score, which just puts you in a bad mindset. So I was starting off with Centaur a lot because I'd done so well early on. My 815,000 was still like, yeah, I did 815 earlier. My average score after that on Centaur was probably somewhere around 65,000. Pretty rough. Target pool, I actually put up a really big target pool number at one point, like really high, like a top 10 score on target pool. Target pool, people, little tiny baby Gottlieb flippers, and you can't nudge it a whole lot. But I knew the rules. I knew how that game worked, and I knew how to get the 3 rollovers on top done, and then your jet bumper's worth 100, and you just got to get that going. And I put up a really good top 10 score at the time on that, but I had to void the ticket because there was literally nothing else in that ticket worth it. And I didn't want to make it harder on myself to get up there. So I had a good time in the B division. Honestly, there was fewer people hanging around playing in the B division. I felt the people in the B division were a little bit friendlier. There wasn't quite the cutthroat aspect in there. Had some great conversations with people, turned some people onto the show that didn't even know there were podcasts about pinball. It was fun. Really enjoyed myself. It didn't feel like I was in way over my head. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some really good players. But I felt that my best game was in the middle of the pack with those players. Like, my best games were okay and would do decently. It was just that my average game was pretty well below the average game of the player in the B division. I need better ball control skills, as they say. So I left the B division when I was done entering qualification attempts with kind of a sense of, I'm going to go practice. I'm going to get better at pinball. And that's good. It made me happy. The C division kind of wasn't so fun. The B division I really enjoyed. So after the B division, I turned my sights on what was going on across the curtain. Because there's a big giant curtain that runs down the length of the Papa facilities. And we'll probably use episode 102 to talk a little bit more about the Papa facilities. Because that is like, oh my gosh, a show unto itself. But episode 101, we're going to kind of talk about the 2 days of the tournament here. And I had been tracking some players on my phone because Papa has a mobile website, and you can add players as favorites. Of course, I added myself. I added Steve Bowden from Fun with Bonus because he's my buddy, and I like to see how he was doing. And he had started out so good. He was like 3rd midday Friday. So I was kind of tracking him, seeing how that was going. I added both the Sharp brothers, Josh and Zach Sharp. I like to see how they're doing. I added Adam Lefkoff. He's been a good guy. Came on the show briefly in Atlanta. I added his son, Escher Lefkoff. At one point, they were both just on the cusp of qualifying an A together, tied with the same score, which was very cool. Escher's 11, by the way. 11. Bane of my existence. He's just a prodigy. Let's see, who else did I put up there? And I had Bowen Kearns tracking him to see how he was doing. He had posted a pretty good entry way early on. Lyman Sheets had him on there. Just, guys I know or know of and wanted to see how they were doing. And was kind of keeping tabs on that. And specifically Steve Bowden, his 3rd place had slipped down to, like middle of the pack. And the top 24 qualify. And Steve's, and the way you slip down is, say you post your 5 scores, well, maybe you post, 500 million on Twilight Zone. Well, every time somebody scores over 500 million in a completed entry that they accept, you get bumped down 1 spot. So you eventually just bleed away to the point where you're no longer in the qualifications. And when I looked at Steve before, I think when I went to dinner, Steve was out of the qualification. He was underneath the line. He was 28th at the time. But he had an entry in, and he had already posted one really good score. So I came around the curtain after I was done playing myself and sort of zoned it, and I took a read on where everybody was, and I pulled up the mobile app and pulled up Steve's, and he had 4 games in, 4 out of 5, and he already had 273 points, which put him at that point like 15th with a game to play. So Steve was pretty much in. I found him. He was thrilled. He was happy. He's a good dude, and like he's clearly one of the favorites of the players. A lot of the other players really like Steve, and it was pretty cool because he knew he was in. He knew he had qualified, and now it's just how high could he get? Could he score on his fifth game of that last attempt enough points on whatever game he played to get into the top 8, which all get a bye in the first round. So top 24 qualify, top 8 get a bye in the first round. Zach Sharp had posted a score pretty early in the day, I think, that was holding up and doing well. And he was sitting, kind of middle of the pack, maybe 10th, something like that, maybe even 8th. But it was an earlier ticket in the day, so he had the number 1 score on Twilight Zone. It was some ridiculous score, and like a top 3 score on Wizard of Oz. Zach Sharp, Twilight Zone score 1.7 billion. That's just crazy. So Zach was in. Josh was not in. Josh was down, and I asked Steve. I said, "So who on this list isn't qualifying right now that you're surprised about?" And he didn't hesitate without saying Josh Sharp. Can't believe Josh Sharp isn't in there. And then Adam Lefkoff was not in, but he had 1 game left on a ticket that he was really close on. So we kind of thought that was probably going to happen. It got tense in there, I got to say. So Steve was thrilled, and he was going to play World Cup Soccer as his last game. And we were kind of calculating. It was fun figuring out what he had to score to place high enough to get himself into the top 8. And we figured if he could score, I think 600 million is what he needed to get, I think 20 points, which was enough to get him into the top 4 or something like that. So Steve went up and did just that. He scored like 661 million or something like that. That bumped him up to, at the time, 3rd or 4th in the qualifying list. And he just said, "Oh man, now I just gotta like watch myself bleed and hope I don't bleed out of the top 8." And it was tense in there because you had guys trying their hardest on their last tickets of the night, because play ends at midnight, period. Doesn't matter if you have already bought entries, play ends at midnight. And guys are doing their best. And we had fun watching Josh Sharp, who put up this just awesome run of games at the end to end up as the 3rd highest qualifier of the night, which was pretty cool to see. Steve's scored, he had a bad score, a weaker score, I guess you would say, on, I want to say Star Trek, maybe? Star Trek. And he only had like 29 million or something like that. So every time somebody played a Star Trek on a accepted qualification and scored more than 29 million, he lost a point down in the rank, and he was only a dozen points or so ahead of the 8th place. So he was trying to stay above 8th, which he ended up doing, which was cool. So I had a lot of fun watching the finals there, the final hours of the qualification. Papa TV was running their coverage from the booth from like 10 p.m. on as they set up for their big coverage of the A-Division finals tomorrow. The Classics divisions, I don't want to skip over that completely. I didn't play in any of them. I just felt like it was such a murderer's row of people in the Classics. You have literally the best players in the world playing these Classics tournaments, and they have a Classics tournament each day. And, day 1, the final comes down to Bowen Cairns defending Papa world champion, pinball world champion, against Keith Elwin, the world champion from 2 years ago. So you have basically, I guess we'll say it, the two of the greatest pinball players in the world, the last 2 world champions, playing each other in the finals of this classic tournament. I don't really need to be in that. So that was the first one. The second one was won by Kaylee George. I think Bowen finished 4th in that one. And then tonight, the winner, I believe Keith won tonight. Yeah, Keith Elwin won tonight, and Bowen finished 3rd in that one. So amazing run in the Classics tournament for Bowen there. He's a monster at those. So that's why I wasn't playing in the classics. But very cool. They run those every day. And then there's also the juniors tournaments. I'll throw some love for the juniors here. It was all Escher Lefkoff all 3 days. Just the kid's sick. All 3 days, took it down. So congrats to him. And very good. So I'm going to leave you with some sound clips from live from the Pop facility, inside and then outside. Me and Steve Bowden, post-qualification. We had just sat down and talked a bunch, chatted with the Sharp brothers, chatted with some of the other players. Bowen drops in for a second. This is just kind of Steve in the afterglow of qualifying for his first finals, the A division, first time he's made it. So congrats to Steve, funwithbonus.com, all that good stuff. Check him out. He's really good at sort of live tweeting results as they're happening. So if you're not following Steve on Twitter, go find Fun with Bonus on Twitter. Man, appreciate it. We're going to do on the show probably tomorrow night, run down the finals and more of my thoughts on the Papa facility as is. So let's jump to this little bit of remote sound clips here.
All right, we are here at the Papa World Championships post-qualifying. It's all over, Steve. Steve Bowden, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, excellent now that I know that I've made it and I got a bye in the first round. Yep, checking the phone.
We're both looking at our phones. Congratulations. This is your first Papa
time.
A-Division Finals.
That's right. The White Whale is defeated. I got him.
It's nice. So you finished, looks like we've decided tied for 7th, right?
It should be tied for 7th once Sean Grant's entry on Twilight Zone comes in and knocks me down 1. It should put me in 7th. Right now it still says 7th alone. But we'll see. Well, I'll take it. Either way.
Absolutely.
I get the bye. That's important. I'm in the money. I'm in the money. That's top 16.
Very nice. Very nice. So this was your last ticket of the entries that got you in.
Yes.
Yesterday when we talked, you were sitting in 3rd with an earlier ticket.
Right. But that was really early. That was early. That was mid-Friday. And so you knew that. I mean, I know that from previous experience. I've been in 12th on, say, Saturday, and that drops off the table.
Yeah, it got tense in here tonight, didn't it?
It did. But I knew that third on Friday was good, but I had a bleeder. That Star Trek score was very low, and so I was already mentally taking off those points because that was going to be 0. And so I just saw that drop and drop and drop. My other problem was my Quicksilver score was also not as good either.
So on this ticket that got you in, what was your big game? It was Quicksilver, wasn't it?
The biggest game was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, that's
303 million.
That score held up. That was the top score.
That was it. Yeah, that was the top score. Yep, there it is. 303 million on Spider-Man. So many Spider-Man with lightning flippers and no center pros. It does have the rubbers on the sides, but they don't offer much help.
No.
So what you end up having to do is backhand dock out, and then as it comes down the right in lane, post catch it so it stops on the flipper. Because you don't want it to go anywhere, because if it goes anywhere, you're in danger of draining.
Yeah.
So I must have done that 40, 50 times.
So now you play Spider-Man normally out in the world. It doesn't have lightning flippers on it.
No.
Is there a big adjustment when you come in here?
It's a huge adjustment because you have to be extra accurate because you have less real estate to defend, which is the reason why the post catch is such a good move, because it gives you another shot. Whereas if I were to take a shot at, say, a spinner or something else, if I miss it, I'm in danger because I have less defense for me to work with.
So what, in the week game for you, was that Twilight Zone?
I think that was Star Trek again.
Oh, Star Trek again.
Because Star Trek was 29 million because I had a brain freeze there. Star Trek, you should time up the modes, get the Kobayashi, And then I got the first 3 modes, got my super ramps. And then I think I must have had a brain freeze where all of a sudden I started to go for points because I knew where I was at, say, 25 million. Every shot I'm making, I'm scoring points.
So Star Trek's a really kind of a later model, one of the newest games. Mm-hmm. How does that fit for a tournament like this right now?
Well, that one fits pretty well here because people basically know it now. I mean, it's new, but it's not so new that people don't know it. Star Trek is an interesting specimen because in the first round of that, they're
throwing us out, but we'll be all right.
We'll be all right, yeah. Star Trek is an interesting game because people know to time out the first round modes. There's timers on all of them, so you just hold it and time it out so you can get to the first sub-wizard mode, the Kobayashi Maru multi-ball.
Yep.
The thing you trade for that is you trade points because if you don't play through the modes, your Kobayashi shots aren't worth jack.
Gotcha.
Aren't worth a lot, and also your super ramps won't be worth as much. But it's good to sacrifice that in order to have for game time. Because again, that Star Trek has no side rubbers at all.
Wow.
So anything to the sides is in
It's
trouble.
dead.
Even if you shoot, so this is the pro model, right? So
Yep.
if you shoot the left kick out,
Yeah.
it comes back at you. So we've had people shoot the left kick out, get the lock, start
And
the
then it
mode,
just drains
come out and
left.
drain. Yeah,
Wow.
come out and either hit the slingshot and drain on the right.
How tilty was that game?
It was, you could work it. You could work
Yeah.
it. So we had learned to shoot it, and then as it comes out, give it a little bit of English so that when it comes out, it would ride the left slingshot and you could catch it and maybe do something with it. So the games were, as far as the tilts, were set pretty pretty
Yeah,
fair.
I saw people moving the
Pretty
games around.
fair.
What game did you avoid like the plague out of this lineup?
Oh, I avoided high speed.
High speed?
Every shot that I was making seemed to go down the middle. I was like, how is this going down the middle? I'm nowhere near. It was amazing. And then I just started learning while looking at the screens we have here. Oh, the shot is actually really early on the flipper, like really early.
Does that help you a lot being able to watch other
It
people play on these
helps
big
a
screens?
lot.
I learned a lot sitting here watching
It
it.
helps a lot. You can get the bounces for free without having to pay $20 to learn the bounces.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that costs a lot of money. Answering questions about what bounces where, and it's good if you can go on Twilight Zone and look and see how does the Powerball come out of the slot machine. Is it nice? Does it bounce over to the left flipper?
Yeah.
Which is interesting on this Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the time, it would bounce clean.
But then
and
one
then it
out of
would
10
hit
times.
you. It would hit you and go straight down the middle.
Straight.
And it's nothing to do but just take it because you're supposed to bounce it over.
Yeah.
And everybody just say, oh, and everybody's, oh, yeah. You know, so
Did you play Wizard of Oz at all in the tournament?
I did play it.
Was that on your ticket?
I did play it. It was not on my winning ticket.
No?
It was not on my winning ticket. That game was tough in the tournament. Well, it was set tough.
Yeah.
No Toto, So if you went down Toto's exhausted all the time.
Done.
So you don't get that. No, as far as the left targets, you had to complete them twice in order to start the end mode, the save your ball mode. So that's why we didn't see that a lot at all.
Surf and Safari. Interesting
Surf and
choice for
Safari.
Papa World Championships A Division.
They made it work. They made it work. It's an interesting game. I like it. The shots are all over the field. Thank you, Steve.
Take it all the way.
Thank you, Steve.
You are the comeback kid. I told you that 3.5 years ago. I'm telling you again. You are the comeback kid.
I'm sure we'll try. This is Steve Zeller here, fellow league member.
What's up, Steve? Nate Shivers.
Nate Shivers,
Coast2Coast Pinball.
Pinball.
How you doing,
man.
buddy?
Coast2Coast Pinball
Good, good. How you
podcast.
doing?
So yeah.
Oh my God, Steve. Steve, you deserve
you,
it,
Shin.
man. If anyone deserves it. Have a good night.
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
So Steve made it in. Who didn't make it that we're kind of thinking, wow, came hey, what's up, Bowen?
Hey, how are you?
Bowen made it in.
Bowen made it in.
Bowen made it in. Bowen made it in early, didn't you?
I haven't really been watching much of it because I've been playing classics.
Tearing up the classics.
Did you win classics?
Keith Elwin
Keith
won
Elwin.
classics,
Okay.
kept coming back and just tearing it up on Super Orbit, and then Argosy, he got 1.3 million.
Nice.
Jim Belcito rolled Argosy as well, but didn't catch him in the final game, so he finished second. I got third thanks to a 1.9 million on Mars track.
Oh, what? With that center hole? Wait a minute. I have to have a conversation with you about that, because that hole, oh, wow.
We're getting out of
Yeah,
here.
we got to get out. We got to get, let's go. We are on our way out as we
All right.
speak.
More tomorrow.
Or as it turned out, more 5 minutes later in the parking lot. We got thrown out because they're literally going to pull all the games down that are up there for the A qualifying and put up a new bank of games for the A finals. See? They're tricky. They want to keep players on their toes. So they can't have us sitting in there. Steve was going to be playing in it. Bowen was being thrown out. Everybody's being thrown out. Got to go away. So we picked up in the parking lot to kind of cap off the night.
Now we're in the parking lot.
That's right. They kicked us out so they can switch the games for tomorrow. They don't want us to know
They
what
don't
it
want
is.
you to know. You want me to sneak back in there and find out
Yeah,
where
let's
they
see.
are?
Some
No.
reconnaissance.
No. So we were looking at who didn't make it.
Right, okay,
We were
let's get
watching
back to
Adam
it.
Lefkoff towards the end. He needed to put up about 30 points, I believe, at the end on World Cup Soccer, and he didn't do it.
Right.
Kind of a bummer. He missed it
Yeah,
there.
definitely. He's a perennial qualifier, so that's definitely one which I thought he would make it. Other people I thought would make it. Sean Grant was there. Steve Zeller was the first man out. He was in for a while. Jason Werdrick should have been. That's the thing with Papa. All the names are here.
Yeah.
Which is why it feels good to finally do it. It's
So
like,
it was pretty interesting watching. When I got here and asked you this 3 hours ago, you said Josh Sharp, first
Right.
name. And then we watched Josh come in and just post some big scores and
Right.
ended up, where, third?
he's third now.
Qualified third ahead of Zach.
Third ahead of Zach, ahead of Keith Elwin. Yeah, ahead of Andre, myself. Yeah, big scores.
That's pretty crazy. He was making jokes how he always complains he doesn't like playing at night. And then he comes in at like 11 o'clock at night
he destroyed it. Yeah.
and tops off mousing around with like 21
million on mousing around. That was a crazy mousing around
That was awesome.
too.
That was awesome.
That's a quick play mousing around, and he grabbed a hold of that. That was excellent. Excellent job by him.
It's gonna be a fun day tomorrow, isn't it?
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great watching the first round. So I don't have to play it.
That's a big advantage, isn't it?
Top
Getting
16
a bye like
in the
that.
money. So, and since with my seed, I won't have choice, but I'll have shotgun. So I'll probably be going fourth in every game, because whoever has choice, we're probably going to choose the game each time.
So
why not?
You've been saying that there's a Tron in the building that seems like it's already possibly tournament
it's
ready.
in the back, and it already doesn't have the post in it.
So you think that's
so
going to be
I'm
out there?
hoping that's it, because I love Tron anyway.
Will any of those games on that bank be there tomorrow?
I don't think so. Usually
it'll be all new.
Over the past few years, they usually have switched the games totally.
Do you expect to see something like Metallica, AC/DC?
Yeah,
maybe?
they might move some B games over.
That's what I'm
thinking. I'm thinking Metallica or AC/DC, not but or. Yeah. And that's definitely be interesting. Metallica is one of those games where you usually catch a good lightning streak on one when you get like 150 million.
Yeah.
And other games you get 10 million, 20 million, 30, it depends on that chair, how kind it is to you, at least to me.
What games do you want to see? Do you want to see the later stuff?
I want to see Tron.
You want to see Tron? Okay.
I'd rather see the later stuff, not Pirates. like not Pirates of the Caribbean.
You don't want to shot Tortuga
I don't
over and over
want
and
to
over?
shoot Tortuga over and over again. I don't want to have to deal with that max jackpot unbalanced scoring thing.
Yeah.
So whatever shows up, I won't get the choice. So I'll be along for the ride. Wherever they take me, let me be fourth and we play it.
How many Papas is this for you?
Since 2008, since Papa 8. Whenever
like
Papa
7,
8 was.
right in there.
That was our first one, so that's earlier than that.
8,
So
9, 10,
2008.
11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, that's a
So
lot. It's like
2004,
9.
yeah.
Like
so,
9.
So Papa 8 was my first one here, like when they first came back after the flood back in the day. So that was my first one. So, and Papa 8, my first one, I played in B because I had no idea. And all my friends were playing in B. And then I qualified on 4 entries. I didn't win it, but I was like, oh, I qualified really easily. Maybe I shouldn't have. I guess I shouldn't have played in B. Maybe. And then all of a sudden, all my friends started saying, okay, let's try A. And I said, I'm going to try A anyway. So I started trying to get them over to A. And just before the restrictions.
I played C and B.
Yeah.
I started out in C.
Right.
And I didn't really love what I was getting done over there. So I moved to B today.
Right.
And there's a difference, but I got to tell you, the difference from C to B doesn't look like it's anything compared to going B to A. B to A is like, that's a whole other world.
Now, in B, let's have a conversation about the B games.
Sure.
Did they take all the posts out?
No.
All the rubbers out?
No, not all of them. Some of them.
Okay, because in A, the Spider-Man rubbers in, but Star Trek, no.
It was probably, I'm trying to think, I believe like Scared Stiff had the rubbers.
Okay.
But I'm trying to, if I can remember.
Did it have lightning flippers on it?
It did. It Scared Stiff had lightning flippers on it. So I stepped up to that game feeling pretty confident, and then quickly realized this doesn't feel right. And I didn't even realize it until about the third ball, and I looked down. I'm like, oh, right. I see what's going on.
And it's real evil when they put on the lightning flippers that are dark lightning flippers, so you don't notice them until you look down. It's like, oh, yeah. I really have less real estate to deal with here.
It changes the game completely.
Completely.
No, I was expecting games to be steeper. Honestly, when I got here, I thought I was going to get here and everything was going to be moving vertically, but they really weren't.
That's been a move away from that. Yeah, I guess the move has been to take out posts and things and there were increase difficulty on the game. Like for example, Spider-Man. Okay, it had the lightning, and it also was set harder. As like the Doc Ock shot was harder, and you had to hit him more times in order to start him.
Well, I noticed AC/DC just not simple things like not having a ball save on AC/DC.
Oh yeah,
it's just brutal.
Big.
That changes the game completely.
Because when you drop down at center, maybe you get the ball, maybe you don't.
That's what was happening to a lot of guys over there. It was very tough. Very tough. Well, dude, congratulations. I mean, everybody's been coming by congratulating you. Oh, man. Everybody's rooting for you. Coast2Coast Pinball's rooting for you.
Oh, man, I'm feeling great.
It's going to be a good day tomorrow.
I'm feeling great. I'll be glad to watch the first round.
Awesome.
And hopefully I won't be doing commentary because that means I'm still in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Well, hopefully we're doing the commentary where you're holding the belt afterwards.
Exactly.
I want you to win the belt, buddy.
All right, thank you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Steve.
That's it. That's all. Apologize if my voice is all nasally and congested tonight, but I am all nasally and congested tonight, so you gotta work with what you got. Thanks again. Appreciate you listening. We will chat with you again soon on episode 102 of Coast2Coast Pinball. If you need to email me, shoot me an email at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. Until next time, take care.